Welcome to Emuna is Our Future with Rebbe Nachman's advice. Wow, Rebbe Nachman, Zechusach and Lena, Rebbe Nachman ben Feiga, Rebbe Nachman ben Simcha. Always like to put in our class a little mention of the holy Tzaddik, Rebbe Nachman of Breslev, and we have the pleasure with the Breslev Israel studio back here with Emuna is Our Future class. Thanks to our host, Rav Shalom Arush. He should be healthy and well. We had an excellent class yesterday with the Rav, and I even got some encouragement today, just as I was on my way up, that someone from London, a family, were on the phone to one of our colleagues, and they were praising and excited for this class. So I appreciate you, and please leave your feedback. And I apologize for last week for not having a class up on the site, but we have a new person who's just joined us, and this week our class will be up on our website, breslev.co.il, breslev.com. And obviously it's always there on YouTube, Baruch Hashem, either the live feed or even the more edited, fancy version. And we also have the Facebook version, live feed, and opportunities also for Instagram later on. And also always, please God, our podcast, Breslev Israel, and our Unity Flow podcast. We try to put our class there as well. Thank you for joining. It's an exciting week. We are heading towards Rosh Chodesh Nissan. Shabbos Mevorachim Chodesh Nissan is a special time, and that brings us together with the concept of Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman ben Feiga, Rebbe Nachman, he was a holy Yid that we all have in the merit of his special life, that we were all inspired, his fire that burns until Mashiach and beyond. We have this ability to tap in right now, sitting in this studio in Breslev. Think about it. It's a Breslev Israel, a Breslev opportunity for us to tune in and be inspired together with Rebbe Nachman's light as his Yom Yoledet is coming down this Shabbos, Motzai Shabbos, a special light of a birthday. Everyone has the opportunity when they're born, the soul, that's when the first time the soul came into the world, and that's a special day for that reason. We're all about souls over here, as you know. And we're going to be talking about the concept of united souls. And we also have the beautiful merit to mention that Gedalia Fencer, our friend, I'm going to hit him up again before he leaves, will be in Uman this Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh Nissan, which is a special day in itself, but he'll be able to be an agent for us by the Kever, Rebbe Nachman. And it's very interesting, the connection with Rosh Chodesh Nissan and Rosh Hashanah, these 2 days of renewal. And I think that obviously teaches us a lot about Rebbe Nachman's essence, that he was a light, a new light into the world, as Rabbi put so beautifully in his beautiful book. But what we're going to do is keep this as simple as possible, this class, because one of the advices of Rebbe Nachman is tamimus. As Rav Moshe Weinberger, he's going to be one of our guests, please God, in not such a long distance after after Pesach. We're going to have him here in Suras Omer days, and we're going to have Rav Moshe Weinberger teach us, together with Rav Orish, a beautiful class I'm looking forward to. And one of the things that Rabbi Moshe Weinberger said in his beautiful classes from Rosh Chodesh was the concept that after all the years of learning, all of Rabbi Nachman's Svarim and all the Torahs of all the Tzaddikim as much as he can, he said that the one word that came out of it all that he's aspiring for is tamimus. I was talking about it with my son, my oldest son, Baruch Yitzhak, should be well, and we were talking about the Shabbos, about the idea of being tamim in Hashem, being very simple with Hashem, keeping things not in a simple sense like lacking, depth or lacking, very holy and very thought out understandings. Obviously, all this tamimus comes after years and years of learning. That's the point. It comes after years of working on yourself. To come back to the level of simplicity is not a simple thing, even though the word itself is simple. So we have the opportunity on a weekly level, thank God, to go into the classes of Emuna, and we have to give credit. Oh wow, someone from South Africa is reaching out. I love Shalom Oresh and all the guests of Emuna classes. Brilliant, thank you. We're really trying our best to make the classes as positive as possible, and it's with your support and encouragement that we go ahead and guests join us, thank God, knowing that they're going to have an opportunity to connect to a wonderful audience like this and get a lot of positive opportunity to grow together with us and with their audience. So what would you say would be one advice of Rebbe Nachman? So we'd start off with tamimus, keeping things as simple and clear as possible. That's what we hope in today's Emuna class, to take advice from the Tzaddik and get that So even like beyond words, to get that rejuvenation, to get that inspiration, to go ahead with Tamimus. The Pesach comes up and there's a lot of laws, a lot of halachas, and a person can make it very complicated. Or the whole thing right now with Corona challenge and the whole vaccine, yes, this way, that way, and all the updates coming daily, to be able to keep that simple, not to get overly complicated. Or the example might be right now, being in the studio even, to be able to, we don't have a working Wi-Fi exactly, they're still working it out, whatever's delaying them. We have the opportunity, though, to keep it tamim. The Baruch Hashem, we're sitting here right now, it's working, we thank Hashem. Keep things positive, keep things moving, don't make, unnecessary fights, who's to blame, why isn't it on the high level, why can't we have the setup Rabbi has on a weekly Emuna class, keeping things simple. And thank God, sometimes I've noticed online that there's a certain respect when you keep things simple, like we are trying to do here with the classes, keeping them very, positive and constantly consistent, and not allowing it to be like based on, high, goals technically or professionally. That there's thank God, a certain authentic nature that comes with simplicity, with tamimus. And I think that nowadays people are searching for authentic media. They don't want to be all this fancy like big light shows and all this crazy effects and stuff, and people don't even look like human anymore. They lose all their colors and they become all different and stuff, just to keep it simple, pashut. There's something which is very clear when you're learning, when you're growing in Judaism, that the more you understand, the more you can internalize it, the more you can share it. The more, as we spoke yesterday, with keeping things concise. The Sfas Emes and the idea of the daily halakhic series, that by keeping a daily halakhic opportunity for all you guys to tap into, we have the ability to keep a learning process together, and it's, thank God, allows us on a daily level to update what's going on. We have the daily halakhic class, and we're able to, underneath, if you pay attention and the details, we're always putting on underneath in the description what's going to be going on in the bigger shirim in terms of the larger ones, like we have Orish's weekly class and with our Q&A, and then we have my personal class, and please God, there's other Rabbanim who we want to keep consistently bring in, like we mentioned, Michael Ben Melech, and other people would like to bring in, and that's important. Michael Ben Melech is very into learning the Kutimaron, bringing it alive from the Sefer itself, and that's something which is a big opportunity. I don't actually have a Sefer in front of me, but I do have the notes that I prepared and the opportunity to share that we are, in a great way, able to receive a lot of blessing, like we spoke about last week with peace, but with this week, with simply the big blessing can come from just keeping things simple. That is the idea, with an advice orientated, because how are you going to know what to do with your life? That's the idea. The big word for this class is advice. Rebbe Nachman has in his name of Nachman ben Simcha already has a lot of advice, because Simcha, as we spoke about a lot yesterday, someone's asking about Spanish. You're going to have to go to Breslev Espanol for the Spanish department. That's thank God we have all the different languages in the studio as well, and there's Jonathan Galed obviously. But to get back to the point about Nachman ben Simcha, Simcha is a very profound concept, and yesterday we were dancing and with the music and the energy. What is simcha? How do we go ahead in our life with simcha? How do we get more simcha? How do we get more clarity? So I would say that simply the answer would be that we need to tune in to the light of Shulchan Aruch, Mikvah, Chatzos, and Isbodedus. That is the four letters of simcha. Smiling also, that's true. Yeah, but the idea of the word simcha is Rosh Chodesh, and it's a Breslev Messiah concept, and four huge advices from Rebbe Nachman, and important advice, like practical advice, is Shulchan Aruch, making sure that you understand what your halakhic obligation. That's one of the reasons why we have our daily halakhic series. We want you guys to be able to tune in there and to have opportunity to really taste clarity and everything that's going on with our, thank God, with our daily halakhic corner. And then we also have the opportunity to be able to learn through the Shulchan Aruch on a simple level. Personally, when I first came back to Judaism and I was in university, I had one or two books. One of them was Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. There was a Mr. Shaim that I bought, and a Tanakh, going through the Bible, something which Rabbi Yossi Mizrahi recommends. A lot of people have never even gone through the Bible, the Tanakh, the 24 books of our prophets, and it's something which is just foundational. You have to go through that. But then another book I had was the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, going through on a short level, what are the halachas? What does Hashem want from us? How does God communicate to us as human beings in our daily life? And it's simple, it's pshat. It doesn't have to be all the machlokasim and all the chumras, keeping it very clear and simple, because as a holy rabbi once said to me, I've seen my Zibelberg, the Rov Torah, the majority of Torah is pshat, is clear. It's not something which is filled with machlokas. People overcomplicate their lives. As we know in this generation, with all the information overload, people are overcomplicating everything. Especially, like example, we mentioned before, the Corona Challenge is overly complicated with too many opinions and too much information. You go to the site, just go to your government website and try to understand what's going on. Try to get the paperwork. It's just a big mess. So it's not clear. And that's the idea with halacha, that you keep it as clear as possible. A person should be able to know what they need to do. And it's very important, as you see with like the best musicians in history, were very clear. The Beatles, for example, or in the Jewish world, Shlomo Kalibach, people who were very clear and simple in their music. The message was clear, and branding. You see, the concept of keeping things very clear with all kinds of products. Everything needs to be very simple and clear. And it's something I personally need to work on. Actually, in the way my mind works, naturally not simple. I'm actually very thank God my mind's moving. So I have a lot going on. So for me to simplify my teachings and the wisdom that I was granted, it takes a lot of effort for me. It's not a natural thing. But that's why, thank God, we have the Aces of the Tzaddikim. So Shulchan Aruch is getting that table in front of us of life, that clarity, our schedule, as we spoke about many times here, how to prioritize ourselves, to keep it very clear and organized. It shouldn't be something that overwhelms us. That's the first thing. Okay. Second thing, Shulchan Aruch. Then we have Simcha, is Rosh Tevis Shin for Shulchan Aruch. Mem, mikvah, purity. So personally, I'll be honest, I'll be straight, and if that makes me lose a few fans, it's all good, because I'm going to be clear with you guys. I have nothing to hide. That I haven't been to mikveh for 1 year, exactly. When this whole Corona thing started just after Purim, I stopped going to the mikveh because of many reasons. One, I didn't want to pass on anything to anybody else, so it was very much about not simchas. Also, as we learned from the Rabbi, Renewal, it should never harm anyone else. So I didn't want the mikveh, the purification process. And it happens to be the mikvehs where I live, they're not like the cleanest. It's not like my own private mikveh, like when I've travelled with the Rav, or when we've gone to certain beautiful communities that have the opportunity to be, or in certain towns that have beautiful, clean mikvehs. Yerushalayim is a busy place, and a lot of people use the mikveh, so I just didn't feel it was the right place. But whatever, that's me personally, but for everybody else in the world and wherever you are, mikveh is an opportunity to purify, and it gives you the concepts of hope and purification. There's always ability to start again. Renewal is very connected, this idea of mikveh to renewal, and part of simcha, joy, is knowing there's always hope, is knowing that there's always an opportunity to begin again. So that would be mikveh. Now, next, chatzos. Well, everyone knows me as the Midnight Rabbi. Is that right? Guys, who knows me? Who remembers me? You're out there, give some feedback, say something. If you look up online, Midnight Rabbi, there's only one, and it happens to be me, because I was up all night for many years, and the students themselves call me the Midnight Rabbi. In fact, the guy who actually named me is, thank God, married, and we were just in touch around Purim time. We share the same birthday, English birthday, so we always keep in touch, and hopefully we're going to meet up again. But he named me that. It was a late night, and he was on a computer, and he said, you need like an email or something, and you always hear midnight, so we're going to call you Midnight Rabbi. So that was how I got the name from the students themselves. But I was up all night with the guys, and that is the idea of chatzos. There's a certain Eis Ratzon. We have the opportunity to tap into a different level of experience, and that was the question I had. And I mentioned it last night in the Emuna class. How do you connect to souls? You have to talk to them on a soul level. So when you're in a chatzos is already a time which is much more soulful. It's much more peaceful. There's less noise in the world. It's already like the world started to quiet down. It's an opportunity, as you learn from Rebbe Nachman and Gedali Fenster talks about it a lot. The idea of waking up in the middle of the night, the Rav for sure is Mekayim it, but you get up and you break your sleep and you go and pray to Hashem. But this concept, there's a certain Eitz Ratzon, a certain time of will where your prayers are heard more, and you have the opportunity to have a more intense relationship with our Borei Olam, with our Creator. And that in itself is a very uplifting and fulfilling opportunity for everybody out there. So that's the concept of chatzos. That's the ches of simcha. Shin, mem, ches. Simcha, mikvah, chatzos. And then the last letter, hisbodedus, to talk to Hashem. Obviously we know everything about Breslev Israel is having that relationship with Hashem, and obviously we're going according to the teachings of the Garden of Emuna and Rav Shalom Arush and all the books that he's written, this concept of relationship with Hashem, to really have a communication, to talk, and to do that in a private location. This boded means to be in a more secluded place, and can do it right now. I'm sitting in the studio by myself, there's no one else here. You guys are listening in apparently, but I can just turn you off or put you on airplane mode, and then I'm in a place of Ispodidus in the studio. I could do it in my room. You could do it in nature, which is the best, where you have the whole place uplifting. Please God, we're going to have a video from Rav Arush, how watching him doing Ispodidus in the forest, very uplifting video. We have it in the Breslev Israel Israeli department, already put it up, and maybe a few other languages. We would like to have that put up in English. And I was asked, just before I forget, to remind everyone by the Rabbi and the staff here to mention to all you guys, Kimcha de Pesach. Yeah, that's the concept of doing charity before Pesach. There's a link how you can connect to the Rav, and please God, be involved in that mitzvah. And it's a big opportunity to help this large community here, which has had a very hard time with the Corona Challenge. And anyway, every year they give out so much food to the community, and all the staff here have opportunity to get a little bit extra for their family, and it helps support all the community here with Kimcha de Pesach, which is a very famous mitzvah. And where do you see it written? In the Shulchan Aruch, as we began. It's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. So the Shulchan Aruch itself reminds us to announce the Kimcha de Pesach, that we have an opportunity to do kindness and make sure everyone has that kemach. That's the idea of kimcha, the idea of the grain, to be able to make their matzahs, to be able to have what they need for Pesach. So Baruch Hashem, nowadays it means actually going to buy matzahs and giving people basic food like vegetables and all the different kosher for Pesach food for a whole week. Thank God we get a week's break to just experience Emuna with Hashem, a whole week of Pesach. And that's the kind of advice that's coming down from Rebbe Nachman ben Simcha, the idea of Shulchan Aruch, mikveh, chatzos, Ispodidus. But it's, if you would sum it up in very clear language, once again, it's a very simple teaching of connection to Hashem. That's the concept, because Shulchan Aruch is doing the will of Hashem, and mikveh is that purification, renewal, constantly beginning a relationship, because everyone needs that in their relationship, husband and wife, all the time you need to renew the relationship. And we talked about that below with the idea of getting rid of resentment. I mentioned in the notes, if you look down below, there was an interesting conversation, I don't want to forget to bring it up, between Jordan Peterson and Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you guys heard of him, but they're very famous thought leaders out there. And Jordan Peterson was explaining to Tim Ferriss how important it is to deal with your resentment, not to avoid it. You have to you have to renew your relationship. And that's the concept of these are very deep thought thinkers, and opportunity for us to really work on ourselves, thank God. Work on our thoughts and work on how our communication and our relationships. So we have the option to renew, to constantly begin again, and to let go of past resentments. And that is part of the mikveh concept. It's a certain, every time you go to mikveh, every time you go to bed, Krishna Mashomiti should let go of what was and start fresh. And then we have the inyan of chatzos. Chatzos is a eitz ratzon, as we mentioned. It's the idea of relationship. It's a time where you allow yourself to have that relationship through prioritizing in your schedule a special time every day to connect to godliness, and once again to talk to people on a soul level, to have that soul connection. It was very interesting, even with Jordan Peterson, how he was talking about how he wants to bring out truth in the world, and by putting truth out in the world, that will in itself do good. The power of truth. And that's a very profound teaching that affected me very much from Rebbe Nachman, this concept. And we can learn, we can learn from everybody, the idea of Meshivas Nofesh is a beautiful saying from Rebbe Nachman, that when you have once learned something, like we're learning today, some Torah, we're learning this Erev Pashas V'Yaka Pekudei, we're learning, getting ready for Shabbos Chodesh, Renewal, a new beginning, with Rabbi Nachman's Yom Yiledet, we get this concept, yes, here we say, it was so nice seeing Rabbi Arush praying in the bushes and the forest. Yes, we should go out to the forest. That's a beautiful book as well. Forest fields, and we had the opportunity to go out and pray. But to get back to the concept of Rabbi Nachman Meshivas Nofesh, is that anyone who's learned any Torah Hashem to me, Meshivas Nofesh, we have the opportunity throughout these classes to learn Torah together. You've already internalized such a concept of spirituality. It's eternal. It's Hashem's wisdom, godliness. And it's in itself, since it's an eternal experience, you've internalized that inside of you, and it's become part of you. You learn a little bit of Torah here and there, like we said, every day, Shema in the morning, Shema at night, connect into the essence of unity and unification on a daily level. You learn that little bit of Torah every day, what it says in the Siddur. You do what Shulchan Aruch tells you, the minimum, and hopefully you add on that as time goes on. You learn the Talmud, learn all the other parts of Torah, whatever level it is. Once you've learnt it, it's inside of you, it will never leave you. It's an eternal connection with your soul in this world, and it in itself, Meshivas Novish, will restore your soul. It in itself will pick you up from whatever challenge you're going through. The Torah itself is the mogen, is the shield from the Shah Nun Shari Tuma of this generation, of all the balagan, all the confusion, the lack of simplicity, this whole crazy media virus. That's the real virus. Like I was just listening to someone, a famous, a person, coach, and what were they suffering with? Hashem Yerachim. They were suffering with their own son died from ordering online on one of these Snapchat things, drugs. So I was thinking, God forbid, like just from a phone app, they could access drug dealers and kill themselves. Such a simple tragedy taking place through the online platforms with the youth nowadays. And it's something we have to be aware of, the dangers that are around us, and we have to simplify our life so we don't get involved with these kind of relationships with people, and we have to teach it to our children and make sure they have the protection. But what's the point I was saying before, that the Torah itself has given us guidelines. Thank God we have so much guidelines how to help guide us through this world, and that in itself the power of it, this is the beauty of Rebbe Nachman, the inner aspect of the Torah is so spiritual that itself will protect us from these kind of things. It protects us from all kinds of negativity. Just by connecting to the Torah, we connect ourselves to once we've connected and tapped in. Like one of my Rebbes once said, I asked them about certain people who are having challenges of Yiddishkeit. There's some famous people out there who've had some challenges on a public level. There's some people that I know personally. So they've had challenges maintaining their Judaism. The beautiful concept is that once they've had a connection to Hashem's Torah, the tremendous love that exists, the chibur, the oneness that's within the Torah, the nitzchias, the eternity that's within the holy Torah of Hashem, once you've learnt it, you've touched into that spirituality, it in itself will save you. It will in itself will revive you. In itself will heal you. Because you're part of eternity, which has no negative connection. It has no sin, has no blemish. It's an eternal experience that you've allowed your being, your soul, to internalize and become one with. And that in itself, your soul itself, has that wisdom within. It's just a matter of opening it up through learning. That's the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, that we have the opportunity to become one with Hashem and to learn His holy Torah. And to not underestimate the spirituality that we do when we sit in shul and we hear the parsha this week. V'yachka Pekudei, we get to go through the Mishkan, all those classes we gave a few weeks ago about Truma and Tetzaveh, this concept of Mishkan Mikdash Ma'at, bringing a dwelling place in this world, and the idea of Tetzaveh, the Big Day Kahuna, these holy begodim, and we even have a book that came out, House of Faith and we have to think about that one, but the House of Faith and Fashion from our friend who we dedicate our classes to, and on Sunday there was the concept there she brought down was a big dekuna is Hashem's fashion, and we have to think about that concept. But the idea is that when you're learning Torah, and please God it's Torah MS, you're learning Torah that hopefully spiritualizes everything you're doing. So even your clothing, everything becomes spiritual. Your studio, the drink you have, the whatever it is, you're spiritualizing your life in this world. And that's the power of Torah. It spiritualizes everything. And that's this siyum right now, say for Shmos. We mentioned at the beginning, this is a book of redemption. When we started Shovavim a bunch of weeks ago. And now we're already at the climax, Shabbos Chazak, of bringing together this chaskus with the light of Rebbe Nachman's Yom Yeledet and this chadshus in the world, the renewal of the world, Chodesh Hazeh, this idea of this new month that's coming, of month of Ferriss, of freedom, this month of matzah, this month of Emuna, where we get to eat and internalize Emuna just by eating it. It's amazing. Matzah is internalizing Emuna. It goes inside you like medicine to the soul. It's a physical food which is made in a certain way, the way Hashem wants it at a certain time of year, and it has the spirituality within it to internalize Emuna just by eating it. So me personally, like I mentioned last week, I grew up always having a Seder night. Even as lack of Judaism I had, that much I had. We always had matzah on Leil Pesach, no matter what, and it was kosher matzah, and it did that job of planting Emuna inside of me, that Baruch Hashem, I could wake up when I was 18, 19 to the beautiful traditions and history of our people and wisdom of Chassidus and spirituality and Torah and all the good things that we're now learning together. And that's the power of just connecting a Jew and a soul in this world, whatever, human being, to spirituality, because everyone on some level can connect. Doesn't matter whether you're Jewish or not. There's this light of Emuna, of truth, that there was a story that took place in the world, that God revealed himself in a very open level through taking a people out of a very difficult place, and that he can do, God himself can do consistently for all of us. All the people in rehab, he can take them out of the rehab. All the people in hospital, he can take them out of the hospital. He can take people out of financial difficulty. He's a Ba'al Yachu, he can do anything. So we have to realize, by connecting to that force that's beyond us, that absolute truth, we have the ability to go out of our limitations into a whole different experience. So yes, someone's saying Shalom from Harish, Israel. Wow, we've got people from Israel even here. It's very exciting. Yes, becoming one with God once he takes care of needs and problems. True, that's it. Like the famous saying, don't tell people how big your problems are, tell your problems how big Hashem is. Because if it's all one, it's not even big, it's like oneness. And that's the exciting news. So we're just going to sum up. We have a lot of advice from Rebbe Nachman of Breslev. You go to Rav Orish's Svarim, the Garden of Emuna series. You can get it now as an ebook even. You can go online. We have our sites with all our classes. There's so much advice from Rebbe Nachman. But the point is to try simplify it for yourself, that it's clear and you know what to do. When you go to your Seder night, give over to your family a very clear Emuna. That's the most important part, to do it with joy and to do it with simplicity. We keep it very simple. I'm trying to work on that, keeping my speeches on Shabbos more and more simple to my family, more and more simple together in our classes. Simplify, make it concise, make it impactful. We want to make this world a place of spirituality. We want people to get it. Yeah, and that's something which you guys can help me, give me feedback, and you yourself can share your classes and your inspiration. That's the whole idea. That's what we want to do. Shalom, yes. So we're just going to give a little bit of a promotion now for what's coming up. We have exciting Shabbos, Chodesh, and please God, we're going to read the Parsha of Chodesh. And we're going to begin again and go into the new week with Shlomo Katz is joining us. Rabbi Shlomo Katz, Rav Shlomo Katz, a beautiful Kohen, is going to join us next Sunday with Rav Shalom Arush, please God. Hopefully it will be all on time, 8:30 p.m. Israel time. And we're going to start a new month with a beautiful class from Rav Shalom Arush and Rav Shlomo Katz. And please God, the following week we're going to have his holy brother, Eitan Katz, and we're going to have beautiful music from both of them. They're wonderful musicians and beautiful teachers as well. Eitan Katz is also a rabbi in Reshit. So they're both teachers of Torah and both people who can teach us with song and soul. And this is the kind of energy we want to take with us to our Seder night this year, Pesach. And like I said, after Pesach we have already Rav Moshe Weinberger, please God, and other local rabbis already looking forward to come join us. And if anyone else there has any ideas, you can always send to me any ideas and questions constantly. We can ask the Rav. Please God, Baruch Hashem, we always have a long list of questions that we have to spread out even now. And please God, we have meetings to offer you guys. We have opportunities. Thank God I have my own course. I put the link below. You can join me tomorrow at 8:30 American time, Eastern time, and also at 3:30 Israel time. I'll be doing my live course. You can sign up right now. It's there, the link below, United Souls, and it will be a very clear, systematic breakdown of how to live in a more soulful way to get out of this divisive energy that's going on in the world. Much more organized, the course level, and it's also interactive, so you guys can talk back and ask questions on Zoom. And it's run by Pulver EDU, so that's an opportunity for you guys to support me in an active way, and I appreciate it. And we also have United Souls collaboration album is out, and on that album is our wonderful singer from yesterday, Dov Halperin. We do have Shlomo Katz and Eitan Katz on the first album, United Souls #1, and I'm just going to open that up. Yeah, and we also, you guys once again can tune in to all our podcasts. Our podcasts have turned into blogs. Amazing. Breslev Israel is now a blog on podcasts. All the links for the podcasts are now through WordPress turned into blog format. You guys can check that out. The links are here. And also the relationship flow to give us some relationship advice once a week, 10 minutes or so. And also Unity Flow podcast, which is, thank God, a combination of this and United Souls focus updates for me personally. And that's the opportunity together to start again. And how do we put this beautiful picture of the thing. When things are good, you're happy. When things are bad, you grow. At difficult times, you cry out to Hashem, and what happens? Then you grow. That's it, to grow. We're always growing. That's the beautiful thing. So we join together on a weekly level, keep growing, keep taking Rebbe Nachman's advice and making it real, making it one with you. There's beautiful books out there from Rebbe Nachman, including obviously Rav Orish's farm, and we're going to please God grow this together. You guys are here to grow, and remember, pray, pray, pray. Scream out to God for that advice, because without Hashem's help, we all need advice, and it only can come from Hashem, because in the end, the true advice, the big eights, the eights of Gedola, these huge advices that come down during these special times of Shabbos and Yom Tov, and even in a quiet time in the middle of the night, like we said, Chatzos, you get that advice to be able to connect to people on a soulful level, to connect to yourself on a soulful level, to believe in the soul, believe you have advice coming from a true place, and a lot of that wisdom is within. It's just a matter of praying for it to open up, as Rebbe Nachman explains. You have to call out to Hashem to get that advice to be revealed, the true advice. So please God, with that simple point of just calling out to Hashem, you will have all the advice you need, and everyone should have beautiful clarity in everything they're doing in their life, in their panasa, in their shalom bayis, in their hinuch, in making a living, in their marriage, in their relationships, and please God, in their education, and all the other good things we need to make this world a beautiful world. Have a beautiful Shabbos. Thanks for joining us, and a beautiful Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh Tov, as we say, Chodesh Tov, and it should be a beautiful new month, and we'll be joining you in the new month of Chodesh Nissan, and every day of Chodesh Nissan is a whole month in itself. We'll have to explain that hopefully next week, but it's a very deep concept of what each day of Rosh Chodesh Nissan has within it, especially Rosh Chodesh itself, has all the months, all the days within it, in that day, in that founding day, that seeding day for the new year of Chodoshim, of months, and you should just be aware that there's beautiful things going on. And I want to thank you again for all your beautiful feedback. I can see lots of beautiful things. Everyone's saying Amen. And thank you so much. Yeshakoyach, thank you so much from Mexico. And all these wonderful people out there should be blessed. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be good times ahead. I think we have to keep optimistic and keep praying. Yes, thank you, and good Shabbos.